Hello, everyone. Here we are. We're going to do Numbers 29 tonight. But first, I want to read something to you because yesterday, when we were reading about the Israelite that came up while the Jews were weeping at the entrance to the tent of meeting, he came up with a Midianite woman, I guess, partying with her or what have you. And Phinehas thrust a spear through the Israelite and the woman. And I asked myself, why I thought the Moabites were the problem. What's this Midianite woman? And I know the answer, and I'm going to read it to you, okay? First of all, I want you to know that Midian, who the Midianites come from, was a son from Keturah, Abraham's wife, after the death of Sarah. Keturah gave him 6 more sons, and Midian was, I think, the 4th or 5th son. So that's where the Midianites come from. And Moses' wife, thousands of years in the future, also lived in Midian with her father, okay? But they still retained some kind of knowledge of God back in Abraham's day. And let me just read it to you. There Moses met and married his wife, when Moses fled the wrath of Pharaoh, he traveled to Midian and met and married his wife Zipporah and served his father-in-law Jethro as a shepherd for 40 years. Now, I know we've been hearing his name as Reuel, R-E-U-E-L, so I'll have to do a study and figure out how Jethro and Reuel are the same person. The fact that Jethro was a priest of Midian indicates that the Midianites, at least during Moses' time, still retained the knowledge of God, of the God of their father Abraham. At the end of Moses' time in Midian, God appeared to Moses, still in Midian, and commissioned him to lead the Israelites out of slavery. All right, so the reason, well, let me just keep reading. As the children of Israel traveled through the wilderness, they employed the services of a guide familiar with the desert, Moses' Midianite brother-in-law, Hobab. And we remember that he was going to go home, and Moses said, no, please, we need your guidance through this wilderness. However, the relations between the Israelites and the Midianites began to sour when the Midianites joined forces with the Moabites. So there's the connection. In order to hire Balaam to curse Israel. Later, when Israel fell into idolatry and sexual sin with the Moabite women, we find that a prominent Midianite woman was also involved. The Lord then told Moses to wage war against the Midianites. And it says, quote, treat the Midianites as enemies and kill them. They treated you as enemies when they deceived you in the Peor incident involving their sister Cosbi, the daughter of a Midianite leader. It says here, the Israelites did eventually attack the Midianites, meting out divine retribution against their enemies. And so we're going to read that tonight. 5 kings of the Midianites were killed, as was Balaam, the soothsayer, the diviner. The one who was going to be paid to prophesy and curse Israel and wouldn't do it. This battle was one of the last things Moses accomplished as leader of the Israelites. Okay, so let's read about that right now. Okay, so now we know why an Israelite walking up with a Midianite woman was so atrocious, because the Midianites had joined with the Moabites to hire Balaam and curse Israel and get them out of their territory. Okay, here we go. On the first day of the 7th month, hold a sacred assembly and do no regular work. So here the Lord is talking to them again about their festivals. It's a day, because we had talked about Passover and something else yesterday. It's a day for you to sound the trumpets. As an aroma pleasing to the Lord, offer a burnt offering of 1 young bull, 1 ram, and 7 male lambs a year old, all without defect. With the bull, offer a grain offering of 3/10 of an ephah of the finest flour mixed with olive oil. With the ram, 2/10, and with each of the 7 lambs, 1/10. Include 1 male goat as a sin offering to make atonement for you. These are in addition to the monthly and daily burnt offerings with their grain offerings and drink offerings as specified. Their food offerings presented to the Lord a pleasing aroma. On the 10th day of the 7th month, hold a sacred assembly. Okay, so on the first day is the festival of trumpets, and on the 10th day of the 7th month, it's the Day of Atonement. You hold a sacred assembly. You must deny yourselves and do no work. Present as an aroma pleasing to the Lord a burnt offering of 1 young bull, 1 ram, 7 male lambs a year old, all without defect. With the bull, offer a grain offering of 3/10 of an ephah and of the finest flour mixed with oil. With the ram, 2/10, and with each of the 7 lambs, 1/10. Include 1 male goat as a sin offering in addition to the sin offering for atonement and the regular burnt offering with its grain offering and their drink offerings. On the 15th day of the 7th month, okay, so the 1st, the 10th, and now the 15th, this is going to be the Festival of Tabernacles, and this is the one I like, where they get to build little shelters and go camp out with each other. On the 15th day of the 7th month, hold a sacred assembly and do no regular work. Celebrate a festival to the Lord for 7 days. Present as an aroma pleasing to the Lord a food offering consisting of a burnt offering of 13 young bulls, 2 rams, and 14 male lambs a year old, all without defect. So this is twice as many. With each of the 13 bulls, offer a grain offering of 3/10 of an ephah of the finest flour mixed with oil. With each of the 2 rams, 2/10, and with each of the 14 lambs, 1/10. Include 1 male goat as a sin offering in addition to the regular burnt offering with its grain offering and drink offering. On the 2nd day, offer 12 young bulls, 2 rams, and 14 male lambs a year old, all without defect. With the bulls, rams, and lambs, offer their grain offerings and drink offerings according to the number specified. Include 1 male goat as a sin offering in addition to the regular burnt offering with its grain offering and their drink offerings. On the 3rd day, offer 11 bulls, 2 rams, 14 male lambs a year old, all without defect. With the bulls, rams, and lambs, offer their grain offerings and drink offerings according to the number specified. Include 1 male goat as a sin offering in addition to the regular burnt offering with its grain offering and drink offering. On the 4th day, offer 10 bulls, 2 rams, and 14. Now, I'm not going to read all of this, okay, because this is the Lord piecing out for them and writing it down for generations to come how they are to do these festivals. And it's going to go from it went to the 2nd day, 3rd, 4th. It's going to be the same thing, each one, all the way up to the 8th day. But I'll read the 8th day to you. On the 7th day, offer 7 bulls. On the 6th day, okay, let me just paraphrase it. On the 3rd day, offer 11 bulls. On the 4th day, offer 10 bulls. On the 5th day, offer 9 bulls. But it's only the bulls that are being reduced. It's still 14 male lambs a year old, all without defect. Okay, and the grain offerings according to the number specified. On the 6th day, offer 8 bulls. On the 7th day, offer 7 bulls. So it goes up. That's odd. It goes from offering 13 young bulls to 12 to 11 to 10 to 9 to 8. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought it was going the other direction. On the 7th day, offer 7 bulls. On the 8th day, hold a closing special assembly and do no regular work. Present as an aroma pleasing to the Lord a food offering consisting of a burnt offering of 1 bull, 1 ram, and 7 male lambs a year old, all without defect. With the bull, the ram, and the lambs, offer their grain offerings and drink offerings according to the number specified. Include 1 male goat as a sin offering in addition to the regular burnt offering with its grain offering and drink offering. In addition to what you vow and your free will offerings, offer these to the Lord at your appointed festivals, your burnt offerings, grain offerings, drink offerings, and fellowship offerings. Moses told the Israelites all that the Lord had commanded him. So did you understand that? This is the Festival of Tabernacles. And basically what's happening, this is now on the 15th day, they bring 13 bulls, and then each consecutive day it goes down by a bull until you get to the 7th day, and then there you offer 7 bulls. So I don't know, it's kind of confusing to me. It's simple, but reading the same thing over and over can be tedious, and I know you understand. Okay, Numbers 30. Moses said to the heads of the tribes of Israel, "This is what the Lord commands. When a man makes a vow to the Lord or takes an oath to obligate himself by a pledge, he must not break his word, but must do everything he said. When a young woman still living in her father's household makes a vow to the Lord or obligates herself by a pledge, and her father hears about her vow or pledge but says nothing to her, then all her vows and every pledge by which she obligated herself will stand. But if her father forbids her when he hears about it, none of her vows or the pledges by which she obligated herself will stand. The Lord will release her because her father has forbidden her. If she marries after she makes a vow or after her lips utter a rash promise by which she obligates herself, and her husband hears about it but says nothing to her, then her vows or the pledges by which she obligated herself will stand. But if her husband forbids her when he hears about it, he nullifies the vow that obligates her or the rash promise by which she obligates herself, and the Lord will release her. Any vow or obligation taken by a widow or divorced woman will be binding on her. If a woman living with her husband makes a vow or obligates herself by a pledge under oath and her husband hears about it but says nothing to her and doesn't forbid her, then all her vows or the pledges by which she obligated herself will stand. But if her husband nullifies them when he hears about them, then none of the vows or pledges that came from her lips will stand. Her husband's nullified them, and the Lord will release her. Her husband may confirm or nullify any vow she makes or any sworn pledge to deny herself. But if her husband says nothing to her about it from day to day, then he confirms all her vows or the pledges binding on her. He confirms them by saying nothing to her when he hears about them. If, however, he nullifies them sometime after he hears about them, then he must bear the consequences of her wrongdoing. So if you're going to speak up right away, okay? Don't wait too long if somebody's made a foolish vow, your wife or a daughter. These are the regulations the Lord gave Moses concerning relationships between a man and his wife and between a father and his young daughter still living at home. Numbers 31. The Lord said to Moses, here we go, take vengeance on the Midianites for the Israelites. After that, you'll be gathered to your people. So he's telling Moses, you've got one last task, and that's to take vengeance on the Midianites, okay? And then I'm going to bring you home. So Moses said to the people, arm some of your men to go to war against the Midianites so that they may carry out the Lord's vengeance on them. Send into battle 1,000 men from each of the tribes of Israel. So 12,000 men armed for battle and 1,000 from each tribe were supplied from the clans of Israel. Moses sent them into battle, 1,000 from each tribe, along with Phinehas, son of Eleazar, the priest who took with him articles from the sanctuary and the trumpets for signaling. They fought, and Phinehas was the one who ran through the insolent Israelite and his Midianite lover. They fought against Midian as the Lord commanded Moses and killed every man. Among their victims were Evi, Rechem, Zur, Hur, H-U-R, and Reba, the 5 kings of Midian. They also killed Balaam, son of Beor, with the sword. The Israelites captured the Midianite women and children and took all the Midianite herds, flocks, and goods as plunder. They burned all the towns where the Midianites had settled, as well as all their camps. They took all the plunder and spoils, including the people and animals, and brought the captives, spoils and plunder, to Moses and Eleazar the priest and the Israelite assembly at their camp on the plains of Moab by the Jordan across from Jericho. Moses, Eleazar the priest, and all the leaders of the community went to meet them outside the camp. Moses was angry with the officers of the army, the commanders of thousands and commanders of hundreds, who returned from the battle. "Have you allowed all the women to live?" he asked them. They were the ones who followed Balaam's advice and enticed the Israelites to be unfaithful to the Lord in the Peor incident, so that a plague struck the Lord's people. Now kill all the boys and kill every woman who has slept with a man, but save for yourself every girl who's never slept with a man. So if you're anything but a virgin, you're dead. And the virgins will be saved in order probably to be married into the Israelites. Anyone who's killed someone or touched someone who's killed must stay outside the camp 7 days. On the third, or touch someone who was killed must stay outside the camp 7 days. On the third and seventh days, you must purify yourselves and your captives. Purify every garment as well as everything made of leather, goat hair, or wood. Then Eleazar the priest said to the soldiers who'd gone into battle, "This is what's required by the law that the Lord gave Moses. Gold, silver, bronze, iron, tin, lead, and anything else that can withstand fire must be put through the fire, and then it will be clean. But it must also be purified with the water of cleansing, and whatever cannot withstand fire must be put through that water. On the seventh day, wash your clothes and you'll be clean. Then you may come into the camp." The Lord said to Moses, "You and Eleazar the priest and the family heads of the community are to count all the people and animals that were captured. Divide the spoils equally between the soldiers who took part in the battle and the rest of the community. From the soldiers who fought in the battle, set apart as tribute for the Lord 1 out of every 500, whether people, cattle, donkeys, or sheep. Take this tribute from their half share and give it to Eleazar the priest as the Lord's part. From the Israelites' half, select 1 out of every 50, whether people, cattle, donkeys, sheep, or other animals. Give them to the Levites, who are responsible for the care of the Lord's tabernacle." So Moses and Eleazar the priest did as the Lord commanded Moses. So basically there was a tithe that the Lord was demanding, first from the soldiers who'd been in the battle, and then the rest of the spoils that were given to the Israelites, that were shared with the Israelites. Okay, the soldiers had to give to Eleazar the priest, and the Israelites had to give to the Levites. Okay, and if you remember, we saw the Lord put that rule and law into action a few chapters back. Okay, the plunder remaining from the spoils that the soldiers took was 675,000 sheep, 72,000 cattle, 61,000 donkeys, and 32,000 women who had never slept with a man. The half share of those who fought in the battle was 337,500 sheep, of which the tribute for the Lord was 675, 36,000 cattle, of which the tribute for the Lord was 72, 30,500 donkeys, of which the tribute for the Lord was 61. See, the Lord doesn't ask for much, does he? 16,000 people, of whom the tribute for the Lord was 32. Moses gave the tribute to Eleazar the priest as the Lord's part, as the Lord commanded Moses. The half belonging to the Israelites, or the rest of the community, which Moses set apart from that of the fighting men. The community's half was 337,500 sheep, 36,000 cattle, 30,500 donkeys, and 16,000 people. From the Israelites' half, Moses selected 1 out of every 50 people and animals as the Lord commanded him, and gave them to the Levites, who were responsible for the care of the Lord's tabernacle. Because there's more of the Levites, more clans and families, whereas Eleazar just has whatever his family, however many are in his direct family. Then the officers who were over the units of the army, the commanders of thousands and commanders of hundreds, went to Moses and said to him, "Your servants have counted the soldiers under our command, and not one is missing. So we've brought as an offering to the Lord the gold articles each of us acquired, armlets, bracelets, signet rings, earrings, and necklaces, to make atonement for ourselves before the Lord." Moses and Eleazar the priest accepted from them the gold, all the crafted articles, all the gold from the commanders of thousands and commanders of hundreds that Moses and Eleazar presented as a gift to the Lord, weighed 16,750 shekels. Each soldier had taken plunder for himself. Moses and Eleazar the priest accepted the gold from the commanders of thousands and commanders of hundreds and brought it into the tent of meeting as a memorial for the Israelites before the Lord. Spoils of war, Yes, we won. Here's our treasure trove. Numbers 32, and our last one for tonight. The Reubenites and Gadites, so tribes of Reuben and Gad, who had very large herds and flocks, saw that the lands of Jazer and Gilead were suitable for livestock. So they came to Moses and Eleazar the priest and to the leaders of the community and said, Adaroth, Dibon, Jazer, Nimrah, Heshbon, Elealeh, Sebam, Nebo, and Beon, the land the Lord subdued before the people of Israel, are suitable for livestock, and your servants have livestock. If we found favor in your eyes, they said, let this land be given to your servants as our possession. Don't make us cross the Jordan. Moses said to the Gadites and Reubenites, should your fellow Israelites go to war while you sit here? They still have to fight the Canaanites, right? Why do you discourage the Israelites from crossing over into the land the Lord's given them? This is what your fathers did when I sent them from Kadesh Barnea to look over the land. After they went up to the valley of Eshcol and viewed the land, they discouraged the Israelites from entering the land the Lord had given them. The Lord's anger was aroused that day, and he swore this oath. Because they've not followed me wholeheartedly, not one of those who are 20 years old or more when they came up out of Egypt will see the land I promised on oath to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Not one except Caleb, son of Jephunneh the Kenizzite, and Joshua, son of Nun, for they followed the Lord wholeheartedly. The Lord's anger burned against Israel, and he made them wander in the wilderness 40 years until the whole generation of those who'd done evil in his sight was gone. And here you are, a brood of sinners standing in the place of your fathers and making the Lord even more angry with Israel. If you turn away from following him, he'll again leave all this people in the wilderness, and you'll be the cause of their destruction. Then they came up to him and said, we'd like to build pens here for our livestock and cities for our women and children, but we will arm ourselves for battle and go ahead of the Israelites until we've brought them to their place. Meanwhile, our women and children will live in fortified cities for protection from the inhabitants of the land. We will not return to our homes until each of the Israelites has received their inheritance. We will not receive any inheritance with them on the other side of the Jordan, because our inheritance has come to us on the east side of the Jordan. Then Moses said to them, if you will do this, if you will arm yourselves before the Lord for battle, and if all of you who are armed cross over the Jordan before the Lord until he's driven his enemies out before him, then when the land is subdued before the Lord, you may return and be free from your obligation to the Lord and to Israel, and this land will be your possession before the Lord. But if you fail to do this, you'll be sinning against the Lord, and you may be sure that your sin will find you out. Build cities for your women and children and pens for your flocks, but do what you've promised. In other words, you're going to cross the Jordan for war, right? The Gadites and Reubenites said to Moses, we, your servants, will do as our Lord commands. Our children and wives, our flocks and herds will remain here in the cities of Gilead. But your servants, every man who's armed for battle, will cross over to fight before the Lord, just as our Lord says. Then Moses gave orders about them to Eleazar the priest and Joshua son of Nun and to the family heads of the Israelite tribes. So he explained what was going on. He said to them, if the Gadites and Reubenites, every man armed for battle, cross over the Jordan with you before the Lord, then when the land is subdued before you, you must give them the land of Gilead as their possession. But if they don't cross over with you armed, they must accept their possession with you in Canaan. In other words, if you don't cross over, you're getting your butts across the Jordan, and your possession, your inheritance will be over there in Canaan. You won't get to stay back here on this side of the Jordan. The Gadites and Reubenites answered, "Your servants will do what the Lord has said. We'll cross over before the Lord into Canaan armed, but the property we inherit will be on this side of the Jordan." Then Moses gave to the Gadites, the Reubenites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh, son of Joseph, the kingdom of Sihon, king of the Amorites, and the kingdom of Og, king of Bashan, the whole land with its cities and the territory around them. The Gadites built up Dibon, Ataroth, Aroer, Atroth, Shofan, Jazer, Jogbehah, Beth Nimrah, and Beth Haran as fortified cities and built pens for their flocks. So they're getting a head start. And the Reubenites rebuilt Heshbon, Elealeh, and Kiriathim, as well as Nebo and Baal-meon. These names were changed. Okay, so they were something else, but Nebo and Baal-meon are new names. And Sibmah. They gave names to the city they rebuilt. Or Nebo and Baal-meon were the original names, and it says in parentheses, these names were changed. The descendants of Machir, M-A-K-I-R, son of Manasseh, went to Gilead, captured it, and drove out the Amorites who were there. So Moses gave Gilead to the Machirites, the descendants of Manasseh, and they settled there. Jair, J-A-I-R, a descendant of Manasseh, captured their settlements and called them Havoth Jair. And Nobah captured Kiriath and its surrounding settlements and called it Nobah after himself. And that's it. So tomorrow we'll finish Numbers. Actually, no, tomorrow I have a day off. So when I come back on Monday, we're going to finish Numbers, and then we'll move into Deuteronomy. And once we're out of Deuteronomy, we're done with the Torah, okay? And then we'll go into the adventures of the Israelites, and we'll listen to what the Lord is teaching them all through all of this. I love you very much. Please keep in prayer. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. And I will see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful evening, okay? And be blessed. By the way, I want to say one thing. If you can, please support the Ukraine. There's an organization called the Fellowship of Christians and Jews, I believe. International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, and they make a very simple, easy way to support, because there's a lot of displaced Ukrainians with little babies and pets, you know, cats and dogs. And if you can support, go to the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews. I've known this organization for 35 years, and I trust them. They have done tireless work. And, you know, I'm sitting here in my house, and I have to be honest with you, retirement, because of my injuries, is very boring. And it just came to me. I actually watched some conservative news tonight, and it actually came to me, you know, Autumn, this is really great. The Lord's blessing you right now and taking good care of you after that horrible 2 months you went through with no means of support. But, you know, you're basically just sitting here playing, and there is a war going on, and there are people suffering. And when I saw their ad tonight for the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, I went online to support. But I was listening to what they were saying, and it really hit home. It's like, in the time of war, if we can be involved at all, we should be involved, because, you know, it's just so sad what's happening to people who didn't bring any of this on, who aren't responsible for the evil of Putin or even their leader Zelensky and his, you know, corruption or whatever. I mean, there's just tons of innocent people standing in the snow and the rain. And, you know, I think that being a member of the world, if you can support, please support. I think it's a good thing to do, because I just realized, you know, we're still very spoiled. I mean, I know gas is up, and I know food shortages are on the horizon. You know, even Biden said it. He said, you know, Russia's going to go through a food shortage. And then he pointed out these other nations. And then he finally got around to saying, and the U.S. is facing it too. And I was like, geez, you know, can't you just tell us straight up? But, you know, right now we're still basically spoiled on some level. Okay, we're safe in our homes. I'm free to thrift. Thank God that I go to the thrift store and I'm not like an iMagnin junkie or a Nordstrom's. I don't even know if iMagnins exists, but in my day, iMagnin was the big place you shopped. But thank God my shopping sprees cost $5 and not $500, but still, I just, when I saw the people displaced with their little infants, and I saw people holding their dogs, and I thought, God, and I'm over here playing. And I'm not saying that, we need to beat ourselves up or feel guilty. Right now, we're really blessed. So if you can, reach out and be a member of the world and reach across the nations and help somebody, because it's just tragically sad. I haven't watched the news for weeks. So if this is not news to you, forgive me. But I mean, I heard it, but when you see it, it's different. So, even $5, if you can do it, I think you should do it. I think it will make you feel good, and that you are, once again, I don't mean this to sound like any kind of weird guilt trip. Just for me, it was exciting to be a part of what's going on in the world. And, I figure if I can, spend $5 at the thrift store, I can help a brother out, or a sister. So just a plug there to realize that we're all in this together. And right now we're blessed. But some people are standing in the snow with their babies, waiting for someone to come and pick them up and drive them to Poland or wherever they're going. And it really just hit me. And I thought, oh my gosh, I want to be involved in this. So just putting a bug in your ear. I love you very much. The Lord loves you. The Lord loves those people that are getting displaced. Let's at the very least, let's pray for them. Really pray for those mothers and those babies that don't know what's going on. Some of those little kids looked very brave. But you and I don't know those kinds of realities. Our country's so protected. We have never been through anything like that. And I pray that we never do go through anything like that. But, I love you. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night. Or I'll see you Monday, okay? Tomorrow I'm going to rest. Good night.